here to stay. Cheeseheads green and gold all day. Jordan Love lead us to the bay. Every game we find a way. Green Bay hustle, grind it up. Hit the field, we don't bluff. Touchdown dances, feel the love. Jordan's got that MVP stuff. It's time for all, let's go. Packers bringing that show. It's time for all, you know. Green and gold gonna glow. Lambeau Field, our sacred ground. Feel the vibe, hear the sound. Packers fans so loud and proud. Jordan Love, he's wearing the crown. Lambeau Field, our sacred ground. Feel the vibe, hear the sound. Packers fans so loud and proud. Jordan Love, he's wearing the crown.
Aloha and welcome into a really sobering episode of the Ohana Packers Edition post-game show. The Packers come off dropping a 34-26 loss to the Broncos in Denver, but it's not really the score of the game or the outcome that is in the crosshairs for us tonight. It's what the Packers lost along the way, with it looking like Micah Parsons blew out his knee, Christian Watson with an undiagnosed at the moment chest injury, and Zach Tom and Evan Williams suffering what LaFleur stated were more short-term knee injuries. But this one was a costly loss for the Packers outside of whatever it does to their playoff seeding. The Packers are back out of first place in the NFC North. They're down to seventh in the conference standings due to having the tie and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, you go from up 9, having just scored a pretty electric Josh Jacobs rushing touchdown and forced Denver 3-and-out to open the second half. And right after that, it's just a Hail Mary of just a bunch of haymakers and dick punches for male Packers fans, at least. Punches to the ovaries for female Packers fans. But I mean, that was, I've seen people try to compare it to other games. I think the way I look at it as the 2014 championship game, that one really sucked because, obviously chance to the Super Bowl, all that kind of stuff. But this one, some of these injuries that they suffered, you don't know what it does for some of these guys' careers moving forward. I know we were talking about it a little before we came on, but just the absolute unknown that it puts the team in for both the short term, whatever is left of this season, and the potential long term. It's just a different kind of salty and frustrated and dour for Packers fans than just if they had only lost. But I'll wallow as this episode goes along. But Joe, what are your thoughts coming out of this one?
Well, I'm definitely not as Debbie Downer as you are right now. I mean, it was bad, and the initial reports of injuries right now are bad. But like we were kind of talking before we started recording, I felt something was going to be off from the beginning. There was something about the way things were going that it didn't seem like this game was going to go into the Packers' favor at all. And I don't know if it was just, I don't know. I can't explain it. It seemed off. I even had a hard time really getting into the game, and I don't know. It was crazy, but it was one of those that was basically going to be a coin flip on who was going to win it. We talked about it in the preview that this Broncos team is a better version of the Bears, and they pretty much showed it. Their defense is pretty legit. The offense, while may not have the weapons of other teams, still has enough that they can get the job done. And the weak link of the Packers defense showed out even before the injuries. The secondary, I don't know what was going on with that secondary. It was not great. Yeah, Bill Melton did not have a good game. Right now, I'm struggling and off the top of my head trying to figure out who actually did have good games. So, yeah, we can just go ahead and jump into it if you want.
Yeah, sure.
Fresh cheese.
Yeah, I guess it's gonna be like individual plays. The first half was a lot of good. You saw them move the ball on what has been a very good Broncos defense. Jordan looked like he was on fire and just like really locked in for the beginning. Um, we'll get into a little bit of how those drives ended, but you did have the Love touch pass to like the just a primo throw to Jacobs in the corner of the end zone. And then you have Jacobs rumbling for a 40-yard touchdown where it looked like the Packers had gained like full control of the game at that point. And after that, yeah, it just felt like the wheels just, and some people are going to say like it can't excuse and stuff, but when you see certain guys go down with injuries on the field, when people say like it shouldn't change how you feel about a game, like I'm sorry, I don't like to play that it shows you haven't played a sport, but if you don't think that those kind of things swing the momentum of or feel of a game for a team in a team sport, like you just have no idea of how like it. I make jokes about how the brotherhood of the NFL is dumb and it's a lie because of how players treat each other. We'll talk about one of those things, and how I do agree with you that it did turn the game, at least functions of it, and partially, more goonball by fucking Sean Payton and his overrated ass. But there were, like I said, it's hard to talk about it in the end result, but there were some really good things they put on film to open this game. And then, kept off with Matthew Golden having a solid day at the office. And yeah, like True North is saying, Jordan never took his eye off the prize and kept gunning for it. And, you have a throw that's slightly off to Wicks over the middle, but, he's getting pressure in his face. And it's a ball that Wicks has to come up with. You can't tip it to a DB in that situation. Um, it's just really unfortunate, that like basically the worst, and I'm not even talking about the injuries, the worst luck outcomes on a play-to-play basis. The Packers got them the whole second half of this game, and honestly, kind of in the first half of this game. But everyone's gonna look at the final stat line and say Jordan sucked, but realistically, it was he was having a really good game, and he missed a couple throws by less than a foot, and it's a game of inches. You hear that adage over and over again, and that's games like this are proof of that pudding.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan was kept pushing and everything, but he did seem a little bit off. Uh, uh, but who knows if that was the pressure, if that was. We both weren't really overly excited for this game just because I don't think anybody likes to go into Mile High Stadium just because of the way, the altitude and the shit like that. But yeah, Josh Jacobs really, really did look good for a guy who was on a snap count. They did say that during the broadcast that they were going to keep him on a snap count because they weren't happy with how his knee was going. And he made the most of it. What was his final? I think he had 73 rushing yards along of 40, and then he added another 19 through the air, including the touchdown. So, got to give it to him. Jordan, I don't know. This was a meh game for me when it comes to Jordan. Yeah, he had some good spots, but then again, he had some not so good spots. So it's not enough to say it was a stale or a moldy. But it's also I think it's one of them outliers that if we had like a fourth category, it would be between fresh and stale, and this is where this one would his performance slid into, because like I said, I don't think it was overly enough to be fresh. He had some solid throws, he had some solid decisions and stuff like that, but he also had some kind of knuckleheaded decisions too. But I got to give mine to Golden just because with him coming back from being out for a couple of games, and them still not using him to his capacity, he made the most of what his decisions, or what little bit he did get. 3 catches on 4 targets for 55 yards. Him and Jaden Reed tied for top yardages for the team. Golden had a long of 27, still is looking for that elusive touchdown. But the one thing that really bugged me, and I guess we could talk about this in the stale or moldy part of it, but when Watson went down with his injury, Romo's like, well, that means the Broncos can play more man because now the Packers have no speed on the team. What? No speed on the team? Reed may not be what you consider an absolute burner, but he's got decent speed. Golden, I think Golden's 40 was faster than Watson's, wasn't it? Watson was like a 4.3 and Golden was a 4.29. So
yeah.
Now I get that they're 2 different body types or whatever, but that doesn't mean the speed's not there. And Golden is a little bit better route runner than Watson. So it wasn't one of those that you can just say, well, that's it for them. Now the Broncos can have their way with them because now they have nothing on the field. So, but I got to give it to Golden. This is another one kind of like what I was just saying about Jordan Love's. Musgrave was good, for better than what he has been, but there were some issues there with him too, where he at least stayed on his feet for the most part. And even on the one catch where he didn't stay on his feet, he used his brain and started rolling until they touched him down. So I got to give it to him on that one. That kind of goes back to what Mike said during the preview, that this could be a game that Musgraves could really shine out on if they used him properly. And he was kind of doing that, but they weren't really putting him in a position to bust out like Mike was saying during the preview.
Yeah, like you said, like that's what I go back to. I'm not here to say like Jordan had a good game or anything. It was more like there were moments that were really great and stuff. But like I said, how it's gonna feel for most of these guys, it's really hard to say that anyone had a great game today. Quay had
That's
some
what
moments.
I mean. If we had a different category between fresh and stale,
It's
this
all
is
the
where
honorable mentions.
yeah. So
yeah. Edge made some plays. Quay made a few plays that mattered.
like True North says, Xavier McKinney made some, but had he come up with the interceptions, this game could have probably been a little bit different.
Oh yeah, like we'll get into that when we get there. I'm just gonna gift wrap all of those together, but just like I said, it's a bummer. Okay, and one of them that I do have to say is like, I know some people are gonna roll their eyes at it, but like LaFleur wanted to keep his foot down on the pedal this game, and like you can't say that he didn't try to. Like, got the double up going in and out of halftime. Was still pushing the ball down the field after they stopped the Broncos on 3 and out to open the second half. And sometimes life just gives you shit back, and unfortunately, that's what Green Bay got.
My favorite movie. One of my favorite movies, Drowning Mona. Life handed me shit. What am I supposed to make out of it? Shit salad?
Yep. So we don't have to waste any more time here. I feel like we're not gonna we're not gonna polish the turds any nicer than this one. So yeah, it's.
Well, like I said, there were some spots. It's just right now doing a post game is so hard because, as you can tell, Mike is like it's so melancholy that I'm having to message Marisol to put him on some kind of watch. But it's hard to point him out when you lose something like that. And I was going to get to this one, True, but if anybody's listened to us long enough, we hate giving this guy any kind of props. So, McManus at least did his job and made the kicks that he needed to keep the Packers at least in the game. But yeah, we can go ahead and bounce onto the stale because I have a feeling Mike's going to have a lot of them. This one.
What's this stale shit?
Yeah, like the one that I'll put here is just the defense not coming up with interceptions. Like at least like McKinney's ones, like he was ranging for plays that like I know he had the one on the sideline that it kind of looked like maybe he had a shot at it, but I thought that one was a lot lower than people thought. But then, the one where he ranges over from center field and catches up to that ball that's intended for Mims, and it's like, yeah, like obviously knowing, and that's the thing is like I joked on Twitter is like usually the adage is if you drop an interception, you give up a touchdown, and I was like, I think all Packers fans would have been fine with that exchange if it didn't also lead to the play that Parsons blew his knee out on. And there's a lot of stupid shit going up on Twitter right now. Xavier McKinney did not cause Micah Parsons to blow his knee out. Um, you know, I don't even want to like, and I know that there's a lot more level-headed Packers fans who are just doing the more like, if he gets that interception, the injury doesn't happen and stuff. I don't even want to go there because it's just gonna attract all of the shit, all the flies to the shit storm. But it really does just suck that more importantly, they could have taken points off the board. The ones that hurt are like Valentine not getting the pick towards the end of the game. The one where the ball pops up between McDuffie and Cooper and neither of them goes for it. That one was an absolute bummer. And
Okay,
the Lucas one is like
kind of
yeah.
To kind of break in here, I was doing a real quick Twitter search. Now, I don't know how reliable all this is, but they are saying that Watson left the stadium in an ambulance, so it's probably a collapsed one.
Yeah. And it makes sense when you see that they listed him with a chest and not a shoulder injury. It's more the part of the collarbone that goes towards the sternum and all that kind of stuff. And so there's concern of like collapsed lung and all that kind of shit. So yeah, it really does suck. Yeah, like and like the one that's lower than the McKinney ones is Lucas at the end, like towards the goal line where it's like, oh, like that just shows like the turnover gods are really like because like he had that play where McKinney forces the ball out of Sutton's hands, and like Lucas, if he like is looking in the right direction, like, and it's not Lucas's fault. I'm not at all calling. He's looking, expecting the ball on one side, and it happens to bounce on like he's looking left.
He headbutted
it happens to bounce on his right, kind of thing, and it's like it's the like if he was looking the right way, he had a chance at it, but by the time he sees it, it's like oh my god, kind of thing and stuff, and it is just one of those kind of days for the Packers defense, and they just couldn't get that turn. And like the way this game started, you're like, maybe it's turning because Micah forces a fumble on the Broncos opening drive and all that stuff, and it just, the opportunities were there and they just couldn't take advantage of them, and it just really does suck on a game like today. Like I said, not even on the injury side, just you could have taken a couple touchdowns off the board from the Broncos and like put your
there
team
should
in
have been several
position.
of them. Like you said, there should have been several of them. Carrington read the ball well on like 3 different plays. One, he made the tackle. One, he missed the tackle. And the third, I mean, they were all ones that he was able to jump, and he probably could have intercepted them. But instead of playing the ball, he was worried about the receiver getting behind him. And those were 3 possible interceptions. Like you said, the McKinney ones, I don't know. That sideline one was a little bit weird. It looked like
that one was more of like
him.
Yeah, that one was more like, oh, I'm surprised he had a shot at it kind of thing. Then like, oh, he dropped it. The
deep
honestly,
one was the one that he should have nabbed.
Yeah, and like last year he like nabs it with one hand because he was just having one of those kind of seasons and stuff. Like my initial reaction was like, oh, thank God he got there kind of thing. And then when you see the reverse angle, you're like, oh, damn, like should have had it kind of thing and stuff. So,
and then you had Romo and Nance. Oh, well, he baited Nix into doing that. It's like, did he really bait Nix into that, or was
I'm pretty
he just
sure someone
ranging?
else busted a coverage and it's like had to bail out the whole defense for a moment kind of thing. But
and that's to go back to what True North said. Can I give Xavier both fresh and stinky? That's kind of what we're talking about. He played well, but he didn't play well enough that it changed the game any. So
That's honestly the Packers in a microcosm for today's game. Is like overall it was a decent to good game, but it just wasn't enough. Like you, we'll go into. I've got it all ready for the moldy part, but like it's all on the margins that you just let go of the rope on this one, and it costs you. It costs you a lot. It costs you more than just in the win loss column. But yeah, what did you have anything for stale, or is everything kind of sliding more over to moldy this week?
I will be honest with you, Mike, and anybody who's watching and listening, or will. I
So
don't
true
have
north.
them broke down. What?
I said so true north.
True enough. I don't have them broke down to anything because that was just the way it felt today. There's
Yeah.
no because on one like we've been saying with the McKinney and the Love and the stuff like that. On one hand, if this was a win, we'd be talking about how well they did. But now that it was a loss, they didn't do enough. So it's
Yeah.
hard to break them down into categories. I still want to hit my buttons though because I like listening to my AI created voiceover shit. But I don't know. I mean, most of it's probably going to end up as moldy now that I'm thinking about it. But I've already talked about a lot of them. Carrington probably could have made some plays on stuff that he didn't make plays on. Showed his weakness, which is tackling. He's not a tackler. He plays the ball and he's good in coverage, but he's not going to tackle anything. Rashawn was getting pressures even though it wasn't converting to anything.
Yeah.
And he made a couple of decent plays in the run game, but overall it was a eh. So yeah, we can jump on this. This is looking like it's going to be a short show.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, like the Rashad's it's unfortunate. He gets a good pressure on the first fourth down stop that ends up with the Cooper pass breakup and stuff. The drive out at halftime for Denver that honestly kind of was Rashawn's 3-and-out because he forces the throwaway on first down, gets the quick tackle on Harvey on second down, and then he gets the initial rush on Nix, and then Parsons is the one who like escorts him to the sideline kind of thing. And then we'll just have to see like there's going to be a lot of doom and gloom for obvious reasons, but we'll just have to see. Yeah, like
Can
you
I
said.
put this in the stale that now with the unsure of what's going on with Micah's knee and the unsure what's going on with Christian's chest, that this is the way that they're going to get Colin Oliver and Brenton Cox onto the roster? Can that be like a stale slash?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit the button and we're gonna jump into that.
It's a moldy cheese.
Okay, so I'll start off with this. We've kind of hinted at it. So it's Sean Payton's team being a bunch of Goombas, as usual, with that shit that started pregame where, okay, I will, this is going to roll a bunch of different things in. I do have a problem with how that was handled. The refs, why are you letting the Broncos hang around on Green Bay's sideline during the rollout, when the team runs out onto the field? Like, that whole thing where like one of those, that kerfuffle, when you saw it happen, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's the Packers sideline. And then you can see that all the Packers coaches are there, and I'm like, okay, what the fuck happened? And then when you see the Easton Butler posted it where the Packers are running out onto the field, and then some Broncos player takes a cheap shot shove as the Packers are running out, kind of thing. I was like, yeah, that's a fucking Sean Payton team. Like, so fuck you, Sean Payton, for like just endorsing this kind of bullshit behavior. Fuck you to the NFL refs for not knowing what the fuck they're doing out there. Like, I get it, they're not like campus security or anything like that, but it's like, why are you letting them hang around the other team's sideline and you know their fans or other fans are gonna say like they're allowed to be out there for warm. I'm like they're like literally on Green Bay's sideline, like and it's green. Like I said, as Green Bay's running onto the field, they have two guys who are standing on either side of like how they're running out onto the field. It's like what the fuck are you even doing there? And then on the
But to
Packers
kind
side
of
of
play
it's like
devil's advocate on that, isn't that what Ed Reed and Ray Lewis used to do too?
yeah, but it's a different era, you know, and people will like roll their eyes at that, but it's like it is like there's so many different rules now, and like this goes into the refs. It's like you have the game on 4K with multiple angles, and you're trying to get more and more behind the scenes looks and stuff. And it's like, oh, like we don't want certain things in our game, blah blah blah. Like, how are we gonna police it? And it's like, and you guys fucked it up as usual, kind of thing. But from the Packers' point of view, the spotlight kind of falls on Kingsley Enigbare. Like, Kingsley, you obviously let what happened pregame affect you during this game. You have three absolute bonehead dumbass penalties throughout the course of this game. The last running offside one is like really far into the but it still cost the team 4 points because you couldn't count to 11 and came running on for no reason late. But the first two penalties are just stupid penalty. You hit the punter for no reason, and then you have one where you're like,
I have to give him a little bit of break on that. He hit him, but that was a hell of that was an Oscar-worthy flop
oh
job.
yeah, like, but it's again one of those like you have to have a cooler head on your shoulders kind of thing.
I
Like,
know, but that it
I
wasn't a
know, I
crackback
know where
block. It
I
wasn't
do
anything
agree.
like that.
I do agree. If it was again craptastic referee job by the refs, but like just and then like Nixon came out hot. You could like all the guys that like have to have a better head on their shoulder. These aren't even like, you know, youngest team in the league and stuff. These guys getting these penalties, they're not even the young guys. Like it's not even like a rookie Quay Walker kind of thing. These are like vested veterans who are like looking for their next free agent contract and stuff, and you're getting called for stupid penalties and all. And it's like I don't know how much that the pregame shit got in their heads and stuff like that, but it's kind of like the Broncos won. Like they it worked for them kind of thing is like and like you kind of noted, Joe, earlier, is like there was a weird feeling to how this game started off, and the Packers just couldn't get all the details right early in this game. And it wasn't just a matter of crowd noise. Um This is a Packers show. There's more than enough shit to talk about here at True North. But what's it called? Like you said, there was just this weird feeling about how like they were just a tad off, and like how much of that was getting, you know, taken down into the grime by like the Broncos pregame antics or whatever. But yeah, like they just couldn't get into A game territory. Like they just were like kind of at a B plus, and then once Watson's injury and the rest of it all started to like fall off the table, they just sank into an F category. But like it's just it, it's just really unfortunate to see that from a team at this point. Is like I said, I get when the injuries start to mount that like yeah, you're gonna lose focus, but to lose focus because of pregame dumb shit, like you can't let that cloud your you can't be seeing red going into the game. You still have to have your eye on the prize and focus up and stuff. Like you can't fall for the knucklehead bullshit and also become dumbasses. So that was disappointing to see. But like I said, there was a lack of control from all parties involved. The Broncos, I'm not at all surprised that a Sean Payton team resorted to goon ball. I'm disappointed in the Packers for kind of like appearing to fall for it. But the refs, like you have the early Jordan Love scramble where Hufanga, who is truly one of the dirtiest pieces of shit in the league, shoves his head into the ground after the tackle out of bounds, and you get nothing. The refs then like can't spot a football to save their fucking life in New York City. I have no fucking clue what those guys like. If you told me they're playing COD in there instead of watching the games, I would totally believe you, because on the Packers' on the first drive, the Packers get screwed out of first down spots that one they end up converting on fourth down, and the second one, they call the toss play that gets blown up. But it's like, if you just properly spotted the fucking football, like in both instances, like, yeah, and stuff. So
But I also have to throw in there, it wasn't just the Packers that got screwed. If you saw the highlight or whatever out with the Lions Rams one,
oh
they gave the
yeah,
Rams a friggin' touchdown, and the guy's knee was down at like the 2 yard line.
but like it's just like it's gonna be a short show because I can only say it's one of those games so many different ways kind of thing. But like it is a lot of the same stuff that we've brought up as concerns, where it's kind of like, okay, is that gonna bite them in the ass kind of thing? And all those things like propping up today, it is in the moldy for me. So yeah. What's on top of your, I know you said you kind of didn't have a broken out necessarily, but what's the top of your mind for this category?
This one works. The winter whiteout uniforms can officially get thrown into the garbage. We've already talked about the refs, the CBs. I can mention again. That was the weakness coming in. That's the weakness going out. They really didn't do much. Special teams was a shit show today. Between the penalties and the weird ass decisions that Emmanuel Wilson was made on that one kickoff. Yeah, that was another one. I still have no idea how Rich Bisaccia is going to be able to justify his job for the next year. Other than Matt LaFleur doesn't like to get rid of people. I can't say the fans because I avoided social media for the most part of this game, so I can't really say that. Although now that the game's over and I've been kind of looking at some things, I have some question marks at certain things people are saying. One said that this is going to hurt the franchise for the foreseeable future. The Parsons injury, and it's like, my guy, let's calm down on the doom and gloom on that. Yeah, it's an injury, but we've also seen a lot of our guys, kind of like Christian Watson, Rashawn Gary, guys like that come back from the injury with no issues relatively quick. So let's just see what the injury is before we have any, we put the guy in the coffin. Let's see, what else do we got? Matt LaFleur's patented throwing the red flag when it didn't seem like he needed to be throwing the challenge flag on one fourth down conversion. It was obvious it was a catch, and there should have been no reason to challenge that one. I mean, it would have made sense had he looked like he was like bobbling the ball, but he had it pretty firmly.
It was a more clear version of the Wicks touchdown from Detroit. Like,
yeah,
it was less questionable than that. We already kind of talked about the 12 men on the defense, True North.
But I want to touch on that. It was a little bit weird because Nance said something about it looked like Denver was substituting a guy. So wouldn't that have stopped the play because they have to give the defense a chance to substitute their own?
It does, but when they kind of replayed it back, my thing there is like Denver wasn't running anyone on or off. It didn't look like they had for a while kind of thing. And I just don't understand what Kingsley's doing there. Like, to me, I always understand. Yeah, I know that one is bad. We talked about that already.
About that one.
Yeah, but
catch up, True North.
My point is like, it's never excusable, but I understand more when it's like a linebacker or a DB who gets caught for the not knowing for the 12th man kind of thing. For a D lineman, it's like, no, like.
Unless he was getting pulled. Who knows?
Yeah,
maybe that's what Bisaccia's job is to count people, and we know Bisaccia can't count to save his life.
Yeah, who knows? It's just a dumb penalty, and you had that play stopped, and unfortunately,
I will
it doesn't
preference
count.
This that I've been shit talking Bisaccia for a while, but I probably wouldn't say it to his face because he'd probably kneecap me. So
That would be
Yeah,
nice. I mean, that would be the polite thing if he kneecapped you. He probably try to do worse, but man, like,
I will bite his ankle if I go down. I will.
but what's it like? Yeah, just it's
Uh, Emmanuel Wilson, I'm going to throw him out as a moldy, and not just because of that goof ass kickoff he did, but he was even struggling in the run game for a
I
guy that was
know.
supposed to pick up because Jacobs was on a snap count. He really struggled. He was running into the back of his own guys. He wasn't reading much. Uh, I don't know. That was really weird. Yeah, we kind of touched on this a little bit. Uh,
I'm getting sick of this talk because one guy is 277 listed and ran a 469 at the combine. So yeah, it's green on his RAS card, but he's 277. And the other guy ran a 436 at 250. Like that talk is some of the stupidest shit. Like, yes, sometimes Rashawn kind of does that thing where he's like, I'm not gonna catch him, I'm just gonna pull up, and like it doesn't look good, but also at the same time, like I don't need any Packer pulling a hamstring when it's like a practice in like a practice in, you know, like just insanity and stuff. But like the people that are like, oh my god, Micah, they're it's not like he lapped him from the other side of the field. They kind of were standing next to each other. And I would be more concerned if Rashawn outran Parsons, kind of thing. So, like, that talk is so stupid to me. And that's not even the Michigan fan in me talking. If, like, if it was Lucas in that position, you know, people are like, he should be. It was the same thing with, like, against Caleb Williams last week. I'm like, the only guy on this defensive line who's going to catch Caleb Williams is Parsons. That's it. Like, we can stop the discussion there. All the talk about, like, oh my god, and I'm like, you guys are just say you don't like him. Just say it and stop trying to be like, oh, like, yes, we wanted him to play better for so long and he finally is. Like, just fucking say you hate Rashawn at this point. Like, don't lie to yourselves or to me anymore, kind of thing. Like, I am getting sick of that. It's like,
and we all knew his game wasn't about speed. It's supposed to, and that's why Mike and I have railed on him for the last couple of seasons. It was because he kept trying to use speed to win his one-on-ones, but he's not a speed guy. He wins by strength, and he's not using his strength. He's trying to use his speed. So yeah, I agree with Mike, even though it pains me because I was never the highest on Rashawn when he was drafted. But you know,
I forgot to put
it is.
Lucas in. You know what? This game is so shitty that, and even if they had won, I would have put. I thought Lucas had some really good reps out there. He was moving a lot better. You could tell he was on a super limited snap count today, but I thought he was moving around really well out there. You know, he was playing both forward in terms of rushing the passer and in reverse, dropping into coverage. I really liked what we saw out of him out there, and I hope that he can just stay healthy and keep moving forward, kind of thing.
Mike is officially baiting me into saying something nice about Rashawn since he's talking about my boy Lucas.
No, I don't care. Like I said, at this point, my whole thing with Rashawn is like, I've seen so many people being like, I can't wait till we cut him next year. Yeah, have fun with that in this offseason. If we get the news we're expected to about Parsons, which
and I'm just giving you shit.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, people can think what they think.
I don't see him gone unless Hafley is gone and they bring in a new D coordinator that says I can't do anything with him, and you know, you might as well just cut bait and trade him for whatever you can get out of him. That's the only way I can see him gone.
Justice kind of brought it up on one of Herman's episodes this week. He's like, what are you gonna do with all that money? Like, yeah, you need it for some extensions and stuff like that, but it's like, all the fans who are saying like cut him and stuff, it's like, what are you gonna do? Pay Inagbare to be not as good? Like, that's the thing, is it's like Inagbare has had some really nice plays, but also like you can't be a guy who's like, okay, he's had some nice effort plays, and then you have 3 bonehead dumbass penalties today, kind of thing. You don't have anything nearing the 3rd down tackle from last week, kind of thing and stuff.
Inagbare is, to quote Dennis Green, he is what we thought he was. He was a 5th-round pick for a reason. He's not super athletic. He's a blue collar type of guy that's going to make a splash play here or there. He's not going to be a number one guy in a defense. If Micah is out for a good portion of next season, depending on what comes back on his knee, are you really going to trust him to go out there and be a number one if you happen to get rid of Rashawn also?
Yep. Some other spot ones. McDuffie, what the fuck were you doing on that touchdown? Like, it just sucks because it's like he sees it. You can tell he sees it. He drops into coverage. And then, like, when Franklin breaks to the post, he just stops running. And it's like, why? Like, why? Why did you stop?
But he did make that good play on the one of them with Carrington, where Carrington whiffed and
Yeah.
McDuffie closed. So that's why I said this game is so hard to put into categories, because on one, for every bad play somebody made, there's a good play on the opposite side of it, and they just didn't do enough to get the win. They let the Broncos hang in there enough that the Broncos were able to take advantage of some weak stuff and some failed injury or some injuries that there was nothing the Packers could do about it.
Yep. The one player who did not have many positives is Rasheed Walker. This was just an awful game from Walker. And honestly, I don't know if you can do it in Chicago next week. You only got one home game. But at some point, I do think you got to put Morgan out there. Like, 4 penalties, only like one of and only 3 of them accepted because the Broncos were like, they're already in 3rd and 15, so fuck it kind of thing. But like, Walker just got absolutely dog walked at so many points during this game. And like, his best play is that he was starting to get beat inside by Bonito and he just washed him that way. And that was the Jordan Love 24-yard rush when they were up 23-21. But yeah, like, I just don't know what you're realistically getting out of Walker at this point that you shouldn't just give Morgan a couple snaps out there kind of thing. Like,
I've said it for a while. If that's what the plan is going forward, is Morgan is going to be your left tackle of the future, you might as well just be throwing him out there.
Yeah.
They finally did it with Belton. They finally are doing what they've got to do. Now it's going to be a little bit even rougher if Zach Tom is out for an extended period of time, because that's going to change up your offensive line again. Kennard held up for the most part, but are you going to trust him going forward?
I think Kennard's going to start at right tackle. I don't think Morgan's a right tackle. And the one thing you wonder is, does Morgan become the 6th offensive lineman now? Because that has been a kind of important part of their playbook the last month, is getting that 6th lineman out there. But we'll see. It's hard to say, but
honestly, I would throw Monk as that 6th offensive lineman. You might as well. You're not using him for anything else except for the backup center.
Yeah. So,
and that would show you if he can actually block us anybody.
All things that remain to be seen, but instead of us just spiraling into nowhere, I think we can kind of just put a bow on this episode, unless you had any other thoughts about this one.
No, this week's injury report's going to be interesting because Wiley went out, and then of course Micah and Watson, and then one of the late ones was Evan Williams went out with something and he was questionable for the rest of the game. They said Jaden Reed was kind of hobbling around a little bit out.
Yeah, his foot got caught in the turf on that last catch he tried to make. So hopefully it's just a bum ankle.
He had surgery on. That's going to be interesting going forward. Rich Bisaccia at right tackle.
We know he doesn't watch film, so no.
No, yeah. What other ones? There was we had Zach Tom, Christian, Micah, Evan, Wiley.
I think that was it. Quay went back in the game. Hobbs. Oh, yeah, I guess Hobbs.
Yeah, Hobbs went down. I think Bullard went down. I don't know if Bullard went back in. But he was kind of hobbling. So this injury report is going to be very interesting going into when we record for Thursday's episode.
Yeah, we'll just have
And
to
if
see. But
thoughts and prayers are your type of thing, then put them up for those guys.
yeah, like, you know, we're down, we're hurting right now, but team doesn't have a lot of time. It's a short week. You got to turn around quick and get ready for Chicago, and no one's gonna
And
feel.
on top of
LaFleur said,
that, they're going to have to come up with another running back because they wasted Pierre Strong last elevation this game.
yep. So, yeah, we'll have to see. But hey, that's how it goes for the Packers. And LaFleur said it in his post-game presser. No one's gonna feel sorry for you. And I know a lot of people, realistically, the Super Bowl is shot, but still, which of these teams looks special? Like that is the thing that I keep coming back to, and why it is such a dick punch this season is because none of these teams look special, and you did have some superpower. Parsons was a superpower. Watson's speed is a superpower. And at the same time, if Jordan can play MVP level for like 7 games, that's more than enough. So, True North, fuck it, let's go there.
Might as well. We did it with Ty Montgomery. And this is Bears week, so that's when Ty Montgomery first played as a running
in
back.
Chicago. Yep. Had the big game in Chicago. But you know what? Like, you just gotta figure it out at this point. No, I don't think, like, if okay, I guess it does depend how it looks, kind of thing. But if you just don't, you just come up a little short every week. No, I'm not gonna necessarily be like fire LaFleur territory and stuff. If you just go like get dog walked every week, then it's like you can't do that either. But
The one thing I will say is if these injuries are all long term, Micah, Watson, and all that, I could see this being a sly way of LaFleur being not being on the hot seat for the rest of this season. And then next season will be his hot seat. But if
Yeah.
they came out of this fully healthy and nobody was injured, then I could see his seat getting a little bit warmer.
Oh yeah. Like I said, you can't get, no matter who is injured, unless it was Jordan, you can't get dog walked like in these last 3 games. But well, especially not week 18. Like, you should win that game no matter what. But the road gets tougher. But hey, like, this is what you guys all get paid millions of dollars for, and the Packers are gonna have to suck it up and just. It was the Green Bay's week for shit luck with injuries, and not wishing for anyone else to get hurt, but like someone else could step in a divot next week. So you got to play the games out. And hey, like, I know everyone's going to say, like, okay, so if they win the North, so what? You still don't want to lose it to the fucking Bears. So, like, you're still going to go out there and try to beat them next week. All that shit happened, and Green Bay opens as a 2.5 favorite against Chicago next week. We'll see how that line moves as the week goes along, but it still just goes to show what Vegas thinks of the Packers and the Bears going into that game. But I won't waddle any longer on this one. Yep. Check out the website, ohanapackers.org. Shoot, we may just post the injury report on some of these pieces of paraphernalia there, so you can remember the pain from along the way.
Just to kind of break in here, Tom Silverstein said, better news for Packers. Zach Tom said there didn't appear to be any structural damage in his injured right knee. Evan Williams said he'd have tests on his knee. He said it didn't feel as badly as when he missed 4 games in college.
Hopefully, like, Tom's was the one that worried me more, because it's like, it kind of looked like one of those Bulaga ones where he's like blocking someone, and then he just like kind of goes down kind of thing, and you're like, oh god. But then the
and then I got to give it to Monty for saying the Colts got Rivers out of retirement. What are you doing the rest of the season, Clay Matthews? So
we shall see. But
that's it. I'm done with Twitter for the night.
Yep, that's enough internet. Check us out there. Please support us on our favorite social medias. At Ohana_Packers on Twitter, at Ohana Packers Edition on Instagram. Look us up on Facebook. there's a decent chance we're gonna live stream the next 2 weeks because they're Sunday night games. So check that out there. Try to give us a few more follows on Facebook so we can live stream to that site. Follow the podcast on your favorite podcasting apps. Give a like and a subscribe. Just send us your comments, your thoughts. Don't tell me to be a little more chipper. I'm not going to be right now, but hopefully by next week, we'll prove the Bears still suck again, and things will look a little more up. But until then, for Iowa Joe, I'm Mike. We always say win or lose, go Pack go, and aloha.
Packers fans out here to stay. Cheeseheads green and gold all day. Jordan Love lead us to the bay. Every game we find a way. Green Bay hustle, grind it up. Hit the field, we don't bluff. Touchdown dances, feel the love. Jordan's got that MVP stuff. It's time for all, let's go. Packers bringing that show. It's time for all, green and gold gonna glow. Lambeau Field, our sacred ground. Feel the vibe, hear the sound. Packers fans so loud and proud. Jordan Love, he's wearing the crown. Lambeau Field, our sacred ground. Feel the vibe, hear the sound. Packers fans so loud and proud. Jordan Love, he's wearing the crown.